What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark, MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today I'm going to talk about some good, bad things. Yeah. uh, this is being distributed by Music Box Films, and it does have audio description. So you should be able to catch this already on a video on demand platform if you are so inclined. The movie stars Danny Kurtzman and is also written by Danny Kurtzman. And the notable thing about that is that he is an actor with muscular dystrophy, portraying a character with his disability. So we actually have representation on screen here. So I'm glad that they went all out for the representation through accessibility in terms of audio description, because Music Box, I haven't seen them do a ton of audio description. So I'm sure the audio description was just important from the beginning, um, for a film that is centered around just like the concept of disability. Click like and subscribe because we're going to get into this. Again, blind film critic talking about a film that features a lead character with muscular dystrophy. Those aren't the same thing, but uh, there aren't there aren't that many disabled film critics out there talking about disability and trying to draw attention to the specificity of it without uh, pandering to uh, well the the whole thing about being the charity case or the sob story. Or is it authentic representation? It's a good representation. How are we using the representation? I think the fact that Danny wrote this and then wanted to star in it uh, is an indication that this is something that's very personal for him. So uh, he plays the lead of the film, obviously, and he's an app developer who is uh, he lives with a roommate, um, Jason. Could have been Justin. I'm gonna go with Jason, played by Brett Byer, Dyer. Brett, I don't know, something like that. He was on. I did click on his IMDb profile. He was on Jane the Virgin and Schooled. So those are his top two achievements. One of those only ran for one season, so um, I don't remember it. uh, so uh, they have a great chemistry, like a great back and forth as roommates. And Jason, we're gonna keep going with Jason. Treats him like well, just like any friend roommate would. Just like, hey, bro, what's up? What you doing? Not like, oh my god, oh my god, you're disabled. Do you need me? What do I do? Oh, do I have to do everything for you? No, it's very much a a good relationship between the two of them that feels like it's something that has solidified over the course of time. There's something more to it than just two people who have, I don't know, found themselves through uh, one of those like apps where they're like rent a room. So no, I mean they clearly feel like you know bros, but I just love the dynamic between the two of them where they don't feel like his thing is constantly the elephant in the room. And they're working on this app together that they're trying to pitch. They use what I thought was hilarious is they use all of these dating apps without ever mentioning any of the ones that people would know. So like at one point, Danny downloads a dating app, and they talk about swiping left and swiping right, but it's not Tinder. Like it's something else. Like they couldn't get the rights to use. You would think that just apps in general, if they have positive uh, like as long as you're not dragging them through the mud and using being like the Tinder killer, you know, that these apps would be okay to say in a movie because they're sort of ubiquitous. Um, but I guess not, and we instead have other apps. So um, Danny he finally decides to take the leap. He kind of had a bad past relationship. Um, we're not 100% uh, told or shown like exactly why, but you can kind of see as the film progresses that Danny has a perception of himself from being a disabled individual as to his own self-worth and what he brings to a relationship. And when Danny re-enters the dating field, he does things like he crops out um, himself in a chair, in a or a scooter, whatever he wants to call it, um, because he just wants to show his face, and that's a choice, you know. He has something that he feels like, well, at least I have my face, so let me just show that. And then later on, he has to reveal to somebody when they hit him up that, by the way, yeah, we'll go out on a date. I just want to let you know I'm in a chair, you know? So that is something that he has to deal with. And the film kind of navigates the awkwardness of Danny figuring out what he's comfortable with and when he's comfortable with it. He always gets to decide for himself, though. So it's the thing about Good Bad Things is I love the title because there's good and there's bad. Like it's not like my favorite movie of all time, but I did like a lot of it. I liked a lot of the representation and what they're putting into the story in terms of choices, in terms of um, moving at Danny's pace, and uh, ultimately sort of the perception, the way that he believes the world sees him, he ends up seeing himself that way, which sort of affects his relationship with this Maddie, played by Jessica Parker Kennedy, who kind of comes into the picture and uh, seems to be completely upfront and honest about who she is and what she's looking for. But there are things that he thinks are red flags that are not necessarily red flags, but I think, possibly just assumes that because of who he is, that uh, everyone else is always looking for an exit strategy, or is using him for his disability, or has some sort of ulterior motive. But that's not necessarily true. So as we watch Danny sort of navigate this, we also kind of watch him torpedo his chances uh, in a self-destructive manner it's not really um, bold either. He's not doing a lot of like yelling and screaming and literally destroying anything. He just reads or interprets uh, from his own perspective things that he believes the world is thrusting upon him, which affect his relationship with Maddie. And it's interesting. It's an interesting film to watch. And I think films like this are important because people still have no real idea what disability looks like on camera, on screen. Like, again, as a blind person, my strongest representation is Daredevil. It just is. um, that is what people think, and I will tell, yeah, after I wasn't always blind, but I've been blind long enough now that I get Daredevil questions. That's a real thing that happens. And um, I definitely have uh, a, a, a way of thinking about myself that is thrust upon me largely because of the way that other people look at me as well, and the way that I perceive or perceived something like what I am today. So I think the self-reflectiveness that Danny brings as a person to his character Danny uh, is really interesting, and that's what attracts me to the movie. Uh, as far as the movie itself, um, the it's very indie. It's very um, the beats are it's not the fastest paced movie. It's uh, I wouldn't say everyone in this cast handles the dialogue all the time in the best way possible. It was a little clunky. I felt like I was watching some first time actors. I was watching some people who were a little inexperienced in front of the camera, trying to make it through the material. And that it's unfortunate because I wanted this to be great. Danny should be able to attract broader talent that works around him. And as an example, Dad actually felt like his dad in a way that isn't really meant for the film. It actually felt like Danny managed to get his real dad to show up. And you know how that kind of they do that in documentaries where you'll see somebody and they'll be like, "Hey, Dad, we're on camera." "Oh, we are? Hey." It kind of felt like that. Um, Honestly, I hate to say it, but I feel like Danny needs a little bit more time in front of the camera as well. Um, just some of the exchanges, some of the dialogue. He's up against a couple of actors who have more screen time, who have been in more things than him. Uh, Brett hasn't been in a ton of things, but at least he's more familiar in front of the camera, and it shows. The couple of people here, like Brett and Jessica, and also Max Adler, um, when they have the opportunity to kind of pop, they all show up in ways where it's like, oh yeah, yeah, we've been on screen before. Danny does feel like somebody who's making his screen debut, um, which is sometimes tough because it feels like, okay, so this is your debut, and you're going to be judged inherently by your very first appearance, because every once in a while you get those screen debuts and they're just brilliant, and it's their first time on camera and you're like, how did you get here? How are you so good? And sometimes it's the director, it's the experience of the director that's able to pull something out of an undiscovered talent, like in The Holdovers. Would be a great example of that recently. Uh, but yeah, Danny just either uh, hasn't done enough camera work. He wasn't supported by a director who knew what to pull out of him, or ask the right questions to pull out of him. But it did feel like Danny hasn't done a lot of script reading and line reading, and was going for well, I wrote this and this character is really close to me, so if I'm just me, isn't that good enough? To some extent, you would think that that would make sense, but um, it just doesn't mesh with the other people who are actors and who have been in things. So it creates this weird sort of, I hate to be saying this, it creates sort of like this weird dichotomy between the people who feel like that they're in this film for the first time, either to support the message, or uh, The Cause or whatever, and then the couple of actors that signed up for this that stepped in and got cast in some of the roles who just have more experience. And that's kind of where the line's drawn. It's not like a huge line, but it's noticeable enough. And I watch I get screeners sent to me now from films that I'm like, are you going theatrical? I did not know this. Like films that feel like they're destined for Tubi, and a lot of films with actors who feel like that they have never been on camera before. So I see that a lot, but here I see sort of a mix. And unfortunately, one of the largest people in the cast, the lead of the cast, feels like he hasn't done enough camera work. There was a comment I read online about him that really just pissed me off, that I thought was incredibly unfair. So I'm trying to do this in the way that I feel like I can get across for how I felt about his performance as a blind person, just listening to the way he speaks and the way that he does line readings. So somebody said something about on one of if you go to the IMDb page, it'll probably propagate because not that many people have seen the movie. Probably propagate for you. But one of the IMDb reviews said that he doesn't smile enough, and they wondered if that was part of his disability. I was like, that's man, we really have to go, like, this education is so important around. That's why, like, I want to support this. I want to be able to say Good Bad Things is like the best movie I've seen this year. I want to be able to throw that out there and say it's amazing, it's great. I want to say it's good. I liked it, and I love the representation. I love how Danny managed to navigate a film in which I feel like his condition is represented in a holistic way, where the people who seem to respect him as a human being treat him as one. They're not constantly trying to invade his life, or baby him or overdo things, or that probably the biggest extent is his dad, who, I don't know, picks up his prescription drugs for him. He's like, and Danny's like, you don't have to do that. And he's like, yeah, I know, it's just a dad thing, And it kind of is. It just is a dad thing. I feel like Danny could not be disabled, and Danny's dad probably would have stopped off at the store and gotten it anyway, or whatever. So, yeah, there's good representation here, and that's important to remember. But I think Good Bad Things is good. It's not a great bad thing. It's a good bad thing. And I would love to see Danny continue to act and grow as an actor. I think representation is important. And my thing with disabled actors in Hollywood is that I feel like we get really excited about them, and we see their performances and we talk about them, and then they never show up again until we need that specific disability. Like, nobody ever gets cast outside of it. Nobody ever, they'd never just think of somebody and be like, oh, well, we have this lawyer role, but it's not really written for a person with a disability. However, this actor over here is really great. I saw them in this, and I think we should bring them into it. Like Adam Pearson, right? He got a lot of awards recognition for A Different Man this past year. I don't think people are looking at bending roles to fit him. I think they're going to wait until they need a role specifically for somebody with his condition. So we won't see Adam Pearson until that time. And so for somebody like Danny, I worry that the next time we will see him is when somebody needs an actor with muscular dystrophy. So I wish that wasn't the case. Same thing with Phoebe Ray Taylor. who broke through last year in a movie, Out of My Mind. Um, I would like if we could find ways of keeping these actors working. When you look at Troy Kotsur for Coda, and you realize how little he's worked for somebody who has an Oscar, it's very frustrating. So this is a thing that we do in Hollywood where um, it's tokenism. And the few times that these people pop into screen to actually have authentic representation, we get to sit down and we get to talk about that authentic representation, like um, in Wicked, as an example, has authentic representation. But will these people work again? Because I haven't seen the actors from All the Light We Cannot See. You know, uh, I saw her do a lot of press at the time, but I didn't see all of that praise for her acting turn into a ton of future performances from her. So that's where Hollywood is. So I would really love to come into this review and say, Danny's amazing, cast him and everything. But I'm just hoping that people uh, do a better job of casting when they don't have to. Just because there's an actor with a disability doesn't mean that that's the only role that they can ever play. So I'm hoping that we take a little bit more time and consideration to find opportunities for these actors so that they're continuing to work and hone their craft and show us what they can bring to a role that isn't focused on their disability, because it wasn't a role that was created to talk about their disability. That's what a future looks like. That's what this looks like. I mean, it's great to have us representing our own disabilities, but also there's something to be said for, if that's the only role you ever get, then is that really what we want? You know, is to only be called when needed, is to have such a specific skill set that they'll call you when they need you, but at the same time, that's the only time that they'll call you. And I think the answer to that is probably no for anybody who wants to actually be an actor. I think they probably just want to act, you know? So it's a long review for Good Bad Things. You didn't even know what it was. It's just it's a lot of stuff that I think about when I approach a movie with a disabled lead. And there's a lot of weight on a film like this, even though Music Box is releasing this, so nobody knows what it is. It's still out there in the world for people to be able to watch it, and for people like me to be able to talk about it. The audio description on this film was weird. There were a couple word choices that made me wonder if AI was used, because there was like a singular form. There should be a plural form. Just a couple of things that ran through the script. But actually, in general, just other than like 2 or 3 words that caught me up, I actually thought the description was really pretty good. It made an effort to try to describe what people look like in an authentic way. I thought one of the interesting things was it didn't really describe Danny in any sort of like overly focused way. So if you don't have an understanding of muscular dystrophy, it doesn't really go into his it's not going to overly describe him that way. So it just describes him as Danny, like it doesn't spend like a lot of time. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just thought it was an interesting note that Danny's just kind of Danny, and he's in a chair sometimes, and that's just sort of how it is. So, yeah, I like the audio description track to this. Maybe not my favorite audio description track of the year, but I think it's a pretty good one, and I'm just happy that it's on the film, because I don't know who made it, but I don't think it's actually credited at the end of the film. But that's Good Bad Things. check it out, video on demand if you want. It's probably the only way you're going to get it. It's a Music Box film. I don't even know where Music Box sends their films to stream, which streaming service ends up getting Music Box. So I don't know to tell you to wait for blank. I don't know where this is going to go. It could go to a service that doesn't use audio description at all. So keep this on your watch list, see where it goes, and if not, just remember, at least I can confirm that Apple runs it with audio description on their Apple store. So I'm gonna give Good Bad Things a B. It's it's not like my favorite film of 2025, but I liked it enough. I just a couple little problems that I had with it as a movie, but as a disability representation experience, I think it does a very good job of doing that. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.